Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment. And what has been one of the biggest concerns about James Gunn's Superman? Let's get real here. It's the cast list. Because the cast list for this movie sounds more like a Comic-Con main stage rather than a solo flick. It really does, because not just have we got, obviously, Superman himself and Lois Lane and Lex Luthor, but then we've also got Green Lantern, we've got Hawkgirl, we got Mr. Terrific, we got Metamorpho, it doesn't stop there, no. We got the Engineer, Millie Alcock is making her debut as Supergirl in this before her movie comes out. Frank Grillo, of course, is in there as Rick Flag Sr. That's trying to make the whole thing connected in the wider DCU. And that's not even counting the entire Daily Planet staff, Man Pat Kent. And get this, Gunn himself has even said there are still unannounced characters, some of which are supposedly being played by people that have worked with him with Guardians of the Galaxy. So when you see that list all laid out, you can start to understand why some people are getting a little nervous. And James Gunn has come out now to do the weirdest cope I've ever seen for trying to point out why it's not a big deal by saying Oppenheimer had a large cast and it worked, so why can't Superman? Yeah, that's right. He is trying to compare Superman's cast list to Oppenheimer. There is a big difference between the two, but we're going to have a look at this article that talks about it first, and then we'll kind of shoot on this. So it's saying Esquire Philippines caught up with Superman director James Gunn as the film's press tour recently kicked off in Malaysia. Gunn fielded a number of questions that hopefully showcase that he was the right person to write and direct this new interpretation of the Big Blue Boy Scout. On the topic of creating a Superman that isn't just perfect and powerful but also has flaws, Gunn stated, "Even though this is a very kind, very good Superman, we see that he can be a little bit stubborn and he can be a little impulsive with his actions. He's got a really incredibly complex personality." Not something you particularly want to hear, to be honest with you. But anyway, when asked if he has concerns about dropping the audience into a fully formed fictional superhero world, Gunn explained that he didn't have any trepidations about it, at least not anymore, as he screened the film for a number of people and no one expressed that they felt confused or lost. Of course they didn't. All the people that you brought to this showing and it's like, I don't feel lost. Of course they were excited. So Gunn also pointed out the fact that, here it is, "I think Oppenheimer has 3 times as many speaking roles as we do." That right there is what you call cope. So Gunn also commented on the fact that Superman is still relatively early in his superhero career, 3 years to be exact, and that he's someone that probably reads the comment section and lets it bother him. In comparison, Gunn stated, "Me, I've been doing this for a long time. You can't let that kind of stuff get to you. I think it's true of Superman and I think it's true for me." In closing, Gunn remarked, "We all want to have people in power who have our best interests in mind, and Superman is that person. He's got a lot of power and he cares about everyone. He cares about looking after the little guy. He represents kindness, and that is such a simple thing." Now, here's the thing though. You hear that last statement and you think that is the type of stuff you should have been saying from the very beginning. That it's about kindness, it's about goodness, it's about protecting people, it's about having a good heart. That should have been what this movie kept getting spoken about. And instead, you get all this other crap that they're spouting out. This part here I find interesting, that he says Superman's early in his career and probably reads the comment section and it bothers him. Is he dropping the hint there that when he said the other day that there's an actor, one of the top 5 in Superman, who does read all the negative comments and stuff and it actually really gets to him? Has he just admitted that it is David Cornsweet? because that's what it sounds like to me. The fact that he's trying to say, oh, you think our movie's bloated? What about Oppenheimer? Oppenheimer had a massive cast and it worked out well. Well, here is the massive difference, Mr. Gunn. And it is one hell of a massive difference. Number one, you are making a superhero movie. Number two, that superhero movie is Superman. Number three with that is it should have focused solely on that character to establish him, because number four, you are setting up a brand new universe. It doesn't matter that we've already had DC movies for the past decade and a half. You are starting a brand new universe, and it should have focused solely on Superman instead of putting in the likes of Supergirl, who will make an appearance in here. I believe it is a post-credit scene. It might be a little earlier, but I'm pretty sure it's the post-credit scene, because she shows up to get Crypto back, because Crypto is her dog, not his. Metamorpho's in there. You have all these other characters now that we know haven't even been mentioned yet, that are going to show up in this thing. Here is where this doesn't quite work out for you, James. Oppenheimer was a true story. They were all real people. So the fact that the movie focused completely on Oppenheimer, but yes, we had to get the interactions with all the other people who were involved with creating the bloody atom bomb, and the consequences after such makes no sense when you're trying to compare it to Superman. Here we are starting a brand new universe of a made-up comic book character. We should have focused on him, but we're going to shovel so many different characters in here that's going to annoy people. But I'm going to compare it to this real-life situation that happened, and this real person surrounded by all these real people. Oppenheimer didn't make the bomb all on his lonesomes. He had other people with him. Guess what the movie did? It showed us those other people as well. So it doesn't make sense that he would try and compare Superman, and not being a solo movie, being the fact that all these other characters are in here, to Oppenheimer. It's so weird. The part I did like of what he said, though, was that last part about Superman is the person that has our best interests at heart. You know, he wants to look out after the little guy. He wants to represent kindness and all that stuff. That should have been all they kept speaking about from the word go of this movie, instead of all these other. And the fact that James Gunn has even come out now to say, oh, we need Superman to have weaknesses. We don't want him to be the Man of Steel, but he has to have all these weaknesses, and it's more than one weakness, and that he will cry and all this type of stuff. Look, Superman gets emotion. Superman is a Kansas boy, true and true, but he's also the Man of Steel. He knows what needs to be done and how to get it done. To start giving him multiple flaws takes away from that moment. Clark is the one who should have the flaws, and that's the vehicle Superman should be using to release some of that. Maybe the emotional stuff like crying and stuff. That's fine. Superman himself, once he's in the suit, no. You don't want that. Kryptonite and stuff, obviously that makes sense, but all the other stuff that he's saying, no. And the fact that that's what they were talking about before they start talking about he represents kindness and goodness and wants to look after me. That should have been the only thing they were speaking about. But there you go, folks. James Gunn is defending the overstuffed cast of Superman by comparing the movie weirdly to Oppenheimer. Wrap your head around that one. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.